I'm going to do a 108th Grey Cup preview video between the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Hamilton TiCats. So I swore I did one for in 2019 before they faced off, but apparently I didn't. So the game is going to be Sunday, December 12th at 6 o'clock. So just going to start with like the basics, like the regular season first. So Winnipeg finished first place. They had an 11-3 record, 7-0 at home, and 4-3 on the road. Their last two losses of the season were meaningless because they already had clinched the first division. So they were 11-1 in meaningful games. And then the other ones they obviously didn't really care about, which makes sense. They rested their good players, so they obviously lost two games. They were on the road as well. They were perfect at home this season, so thank goodness we're not playing in Winnipeg. As for Hamilton, they finished second place. They had an 8-6 record, 5-2 at home, 3-4 on the road, and they've won 6 of their last 7, including the playoff game versus Montreal and Toronto. So the TiCats and Bombers played once this year in the season opener in Winnipeg, in like August, I believe. The Bombers won again, 19-6. So the season series was just 1-0 for Winnipeg and 0-1 for Hamilton. So these teams are like, I feel like Winnipeg's better. They are better. Like I know they're really favored to win and stuff, but I definitely feel like Hamilton has a chance, especially with them being at home, which I'll get into. There's a lot of like stats that I'm going to get into eventually. So when these teams met up in the Grey Cup in 2019, two years ago, the Bombers basically ran away with the title, outgaining the TiCats 408-355. Controlling the clock for 11 more minutes, boasting a plus-minus turnover, or a +4 turnover differential, and eventually winning by 21 points. It was like 33-12 or something. These teams also tangled in the season opener, which I just said, with the Bombers winning 19-6 at home, while limiting Hamilton to 297 yards of offense and forcing 3 turnovers. So obviously turnovers, I think there was like 4 in the Grey Cup in 2019, so that obviously cost them, so they can't be doing that at all. Like I would like to see none, but with Winnipeg's defense, it's going to be good. It's going to be hard not to, but the TiCats are obviously good and they can obviously force turnovers as well, so I'm hoping they can do so. So the TiCats had a stingy defense during the regular season, holding opponents to the second fewest yards per pass attempt, 7.3, and fewest yards per rush attempt in the league, which is at 4.2. That being said, their offense struggled at times, with their receivers having a tough time consistently getting open and their offensive line surrendering 40 sacks. So that was just a little bit of a little preview of the season. This video is a little bit all over the place because I have a bunch of like stats and then I have stuff about 2019 Grey Cup, you know what I mean? So it may be a little bit, it may seem out of place or like random at times. Anyways, so now we're going to talk about the road to the playoffs. So Winnipeg played against Saskatchewan in the Western Final on December 5th in Winnipeg, and they won by a narrow score of 21-17. So Winnipeg had 6 turnovers in the first 7 possessions, which is just mind-boggling to me. That's fucking insane, and they were still able to win in the 4th quarter to advance to the Grey Cup. Claris, which is obviously the quarterback, Zach Claris completed 81% of his passes, but 3 of the 4 missed attempts were intercepted, which is obviously really costly. So obviously they had 3 interceptions and I guess like 3 fumbles then. Andrew Harris had 23 carries for 136 yards. He's been a beast. Like he honestly is the player that scares me the most. They're all really good, but like Andrew Harris is just a beast. Same with Zach Claris. They're just really good. So Hamilton first won against Montreal at home in Hamilton on November 28th. They won 23-12. They first trailed 3-0 and then scored about 20 points straight to take a 20-3 lead, I believe around halftime, or 20-6. And I believe the TiCats only allowed 1 touchdown, 1 field goal, and a safety in that game. So only 1 TD, which is really good, 1 field goal, solid, good. The TiCats obviously went on to win 23-12 at home to advance to the Eastern Final in Toronto. So they advanced to the Eastern Final to go to Toronto. So once they were in Toronto and they faced the Argonauts, things did not start off well. They allowed 4 straight field goals to give Toronto a 12-0 lead at the half, where they could have led more if there wasn't a turnover, which led to another turnover. So I think Hamilton had the ball at like the 20-25 yard line. And I think we fumbled it, and then Toronto recovered it, basically brought it back like 30-40 yards, to which Dane Evans stripped him of it, and then Hamilton got the ball back, so to prevent them from trying another field goal before the half, we were able to get the ball back at least, right? So that's obviously really good. Anyways, it was 12-0 at the half, and obviously we had some work to do. I was like, bro, are we gonna get shut out? Like, what's gonna happen here? So TiCats had nothing going for them, obviously. So Cats got a spark from a punt return touchdown from Pappy White to make it a 12-6 game. I guess they missed a point after. I missed that part because I was at work. They then went on to a 27-4 run. They had another TD to tie at 12-12. unable to get the point after. I guess they missed both, which fucking sucks. But again, they still were able to win, so a 27-4 run, which made them win the game 27-19 in the end. TiCats did not allow one touchdown in Toronto. They've allowed one in Montreal. So far in two playoff games, 120 minutes of football, 1 TD allowed, and about 7 field goals were allowed, which I'll get into that, I think, a bit later. But yeah, all of Toronto's scoring came from 6 field goals and 1 single. That brought the Cats to where we are now. And Dane Evans also came in, I believe, in the second quarter to relieve Jeremiah Masoli as he was struggling, and then Dane Evans ended up completing 16 of 16 passes to bring the TiCats back to the Grey Cup where they belong. So now going back to the 2019 Grey Cup, because you all know, everyone knows that the TiCats and Bombers also played in the 2019 Grey Cup 2 years ago, last season technically. So Winnipeg took on the TiCats in 2019 in the Grey Cup, and Cats were favored to win at that time. The Bombers at the time had a Grey Cup drought of over 30 years, I think 32 or 33 years, and the TiCats also had a drought of about 20 years without winning the Grey Cup. So both teams, one of them was obviously going to win, so I was kind of like, hopefully we can do it. We didn't do it. The Bombers played significantly better than the TiCats, and the Bombers ended up winning 33-12 in very convincing fashion. TiCats did have a 15-3 record in the 2019 season, and the TiCats overall right now, including the playoffs, are 10-6 right now. TiCats had a 15-3 record, and the Bombers were 11-7 at that point. This year, the TiCats were 8-6, and Winnipeg was 11-1 in meaningful games and 11-3 total regular season, and now, including the playoff game, 12-3 to this point. And TiCats overall now are 10-6 to this point. So one more win, and we're in, and we're done, basically. So, Hamilton will have home field advantage in this game, which I've never seen a TiCat game. I've never seen a Grey Cup game in Hamilton, period. The last Grey Cup game in Hamilton was, I think, the 1970s, and I do believe they won that one at Ivor Stadium. Now it is Tim Hortons Field. Anyways, Hamilton will have home field advantage in this game this time around, and the rules are definitely reversed from last time. Their defense has been solid, allowing 1 touchdown in 2 playoff games, like I said. 1 at home in 2 playoff games. 1 was home, 1 was away. No TDs were allowed away on the road, which is insane. How do you not allow a touchdown at all? Like on the road, that's where I would think you would allow a touchdown, and then maybe in a home game you would be able to like keep them shut out, right? They did obviously, however, allow 7 or 8 field goals, which I would definitely take that any day. 7 or 8 field goals over 7 or 8 touchdowns, obviously. So we'll definitely take that any day. But they were really good, and I'm really glad that they were able to do that. Anyways, Hamilton also recorded 6 sacks and 5 turnovers against the Alouettes while keeping CFL point guard William Stanback at 29 yards on 12 carries. William Stanback was one of the factors in the Montreal game. On Sunday, the TiCats did not allow a touchdown, as I just mentioned, as Toronto's score consisted of 6 field goals and a single, like I just mentioned to you guys. It's crazy though, you know what I mean? Like, how do you not allow a TD? Like, I'm happy, of course, but like, I'm just shocked. Twice in the first quarter, Toronto rolled inside. This was the great part. I was watching this, despite being at work, I was really trying hard to watch it. So twice in the first quarter, Toronto rolled inside Hamilton's 5-yard line and had to settle for a field goal each time. It was crazy. It was like first and goal, second goal, third and goal, and I was like, oh my god, please don't go for it. Please just go for the field goal. TiCats quarterback Dane Evans also deprived Argos defender Shaq Richardson of the ball on the visitors' 25-yard line, preventing the Argonauts from adding to a 12-0 advantage, which I did mention to you guys earlier. Like a turnover followed by another turnover. The commentator was like, what the hell is going on here? Yeah, it was funny. Evans was also instrumental in Hamilton's victory over Toronto. He replaced starter Jeremiah Masoli in the second quarter and completed 16 of 16 passes, once again for 249 yards and 1 touchdown, which is really good. So I have like a notepad here and I don't know where I'm going. There's no one on this table. Evans also ran for 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter as the TiCats became the first team to secure a home berth for the Grey Cup since the 2013 Saskatchewan Roughriders did so against Hamilton, and they did end up winning that one as well. So Dane Evans will be the starting quarterback for the Grey Cup in Hamilton, as he also did in 2019. Hamilton will try to win its first Grey Cup crown at home since 1972. I'm actually count how many years that is, because that's a long time. Like, that's probably like 50. I think that's 51 years if I know how to count. 1972 minus 49 years, close enough. 49 years. That's the last time that they won a Grey Cup at home. The last Grey Cup in Hamilton, I believe, was in 1996, so it's been about 25 years since then, but now we'll have a chance to do so. So that year, in 1972, the TiCats defensive lineman Angelo Mosca capped his illustrious CFL career by lifting the sacred trophy with teammate Garney Henley before a supporter rally at Ivor Stadium. Not relevant to this, but sadly Angelo Mosca did pass away, I believe, recently, so RIP to him. Also 2 years ago, Andrew Harris of Winnipeg put an exclamation mark on the Bombers' championship season. He was named Grey Cup MVP and top Canadian after accumulating 134 yards and 1 touchdown in 18 carries while adding 5 catches for 35 yards and 1 touchdown against Hamilton. Harris ran for 136 yards and a touchdown on Sunday as Winnipeg knocked out the Saskatchewan Roughriders 21-17 in the West Division Final despite 6 turnovers. And that game was Harris's first game since October 15th because he had a knee injury. So honestly, like, it really sucks when like players are like basically absent. There is basically a player that might be missing for Hamilton, Ted Laurent. I will get into that a bit later. But he also may be missing, which is going to be costly for us. TiCats, I really hope we win. I really hope we win, to be honest. Anyways, the weather in Winnipeg on December 5th was not favorable at all. It was like -9, wind chill -18 in Celsius. So that obviously will be quite different, as the weather in Hamilton on Sunday should be 4 degrees Celsius and sunny. If you guys don't know Fahrenheit, then you guys can just do the conversion. I didn't bother doing that, but yeah. So it should be 4 degrees Celsius, obviously a huge difference from feeling like -18. So this will be quite different, and I assume the Bombers will be a lot more comfortable with this weather, considering it's sunny. It's a lot nicer. 4 degrees is still chilly, but way better than -18. So going into Grey Cup stats, so the Bombers are 11-14 in Grey Cup games, which is 0.440%, and the Cats are 8-13, which is 3.81%. This is the first time the host team will have made the Grey Cup since Saskatchewan did it in 2013, where they beat Hamilton. Hamilton last won the Grey Cup in 1999, and since 1935, Winnipeg and Hamilton teams have played 11 times in the Grey Cup, with Winnipeg taking 7 of the 11 wins. The Bombers are 0-4 against the spread, and the Cats are 4-0 against the spread. The Bombers opened as 4.5 favorites on Sports Interaction. I do see a lot closer bets now. I am seeing Hamilton being picked on like a site or two. Or one site I saw said like 51% Winnipeg, 49% Hamilton. And before, I'm pretty sure it was like 53 to like 47, so they're getting a bit closer. It definitely will be a great game and a close contest for sure. I do expect it to be a lot closer than 33-12 again from 2019. So the Bombers produced 15 All-Stars in the West Division. 10 were first-time selections, including quarterback Zach Collaros. Collaros played for the TiCats from 2014 to 2017. He also had 1 Grey Cup appearance with the TiCats in 2014, where they lost to Calgary, the Stampeders, 20-16. I was watching that game and I was so depressed. I was like 14 years old at the time, and I was freaking sad, man. Or I was like 15, actually. I don't know. So TiCats were underdogs going into the game in Toronto. I don't know why I mentioned that now, but they were able to overcome it with the help of Pappy White, as mentioned. See, that's what I meant by that. It might be a bit mixed up. The Cats finished 5th in total offense, 355.8 yards, and 3rd in total defense, 328.9 yards. Going into some team leaders for Winnipeg. So Kenny Lawler has 6 touchdowns. Zach Collaros has 3,185 passing yards. Kenny Lawler also has apparently 64 receiving yards, which I think that's a mistake. Jackson Jeffco has 9 sacks, and DeAndre Alford has 4 interceptions, going into the Hamilton team leaders now. Sean Thomas Arlington has about 356 rushing yards and 6 touchdowns. Jeremiah Masoli has 2,445 passing yards, which is basically irrelevant at this point since Dane Evans is starting. Tim White has 774 receiving yards. Jigger Davis has 6 sacks. Carriel Brooks has 5 interceptions, and Simone Lawrence has 73 tackles. So I believe Winnipeg has the most Grey Cup appearances, around 27, with 11 titles. Hamilton has 8 titles in the Grey Cup. Unknown how many appearances. I was trying to figure that out. I couldn't find it out. Sorry, guys. The TiCats are currently also underdogs going into this game, as they were in Toronto, but again, they were able to overcome that. I'm hoping they were able to overcome this one as well, considering it is at home. With all that being said, I am going to read an article basically saying who has the edge in terms of like, obviously who has the edge in the Grey Cup. Like, it goes head to head, so my Wi-Fi really sucks, so I'm just going to put this down here for a second. so for the head-to-head matchup, so first we're going to talk quarterbacks. So quarterbacks, while the element of surprise, this is basically from a website, while the element of surprise of not having 2021 film on Dane Evans could bump the TiCats' chances of offensive success, Winnipeg knows exactly what they did to rival the presumed TiCats earlier this week from the dominant 2019 Grey Cup victory over Evans Cats Club. What this really comes down to, though, is Zach Collaros' comfort in the Bombers' offensive system, and system is the key word in everything Winnipeg does. Their path to success is formulaic, relying on successful first down runs and daring second down grabs. At the controls of it all, Collaros is the ringleader who knows exactly what buttons to push and when. So the advantage goes to Winnipeg for quarterbacks, which, not that surprising. Going toward running backs, so Don Jackson has shown a burst and decisiveness that really made the TiCats offense come to life over the past few weeks. Similar to the quarterback analysis above, Hamilton has every opportunity to steal the show Sunday at any of these positional groups. We've seen it before, and we'll see it again. But if Jackson can do enough, and can the TiCats play from ahead in a way that sees Jackson get enough touches to be a difference maker? Again, this is like a question. That's a big ask, especially against what appears to be a healthy and maximally motivated Andrew Harris. As I said, that guy's a beast. Yeah, so the advantage there goes to Winnipeg, of course. Going into receivers, I'll tell you guys right now, Winnipeg also has the advantage there. So this was one of the closest calls because Tim White is reasonably underrated and Brendan Banks has looked like his legs are finally underneath him for the first time all year in these two playoff games, in the two playoff game runs. With Jalen Ackland contributing in a variety of ways, Hamilton could spread it out and let Evans try to pick the Bombers apart with a high volume of throws, but the Bombers' possession passing game and second down aerial assault is too much. Apparently, with Kenny Lawler and emerging star Rashid Bailey running free through coverage, with Nick Dembski and Andrew Harris out of the backfield, another 2019 Grey Cup memory, and you have another advantage for Winnipeg, even just by the slightest of margin. So Winnipeg has another margin of 3 advantages for Winnipeg, none for Hamilton thus far. Not good. Going into the O-line, the offensive line, Stanley Bryant paired next to Drew Desjardins on the left side is a cheat code. The amount of movement consistently created by those two in the run game is special, while Michael Couture, Patrick Newfield, and Jamarcus Hardrick more than hold their own. In Hamilton, Chris Van Zyl is the physical and emotional leader of a TiCats protection that has been forced to ride the wave of injuries, inconsistency and downright ugly play through various points in the season. Brandon Revenberg is still a bulldozer, but there are some questions at left tackle, and Van Zyl will have to improve his own performance from the 2019 Grey Cup against Jefferson to give Evans any chance to make plays down the field, which I said Winnipeg has the advantage there as well. Going at the defensive line, if Willie Jefferson and Jackson Jeffco can play this Sunday the way they did in the 2019 Grey Cup, this is not even close. But Jigger Davis' playoff performances each of the last 2 weeks have been special. He's arguably been the best player on the field for both teams, not just defensive lineman or defender, and the support he receives from Ted Laurent, which he could be out, and Dylan Wynn creating internal pressure while Simone Lawrence blitzes off his hip, makes for a dynamic pass rush in Hamilton that is ever a bit likely to change the game as the Bombers. Both teams do it in a different way, and both will impact this game with sacks, knockdowns, and possibly a turnover or two created that could swing the outcome. So either way, it could go either way in a sense. The advantage this one, it's kind of like a mix, so it's kind of in the middle. Going for linebackers, Adam Bighill is the best linebacker in the CFL, full stop. And next to him is Alden Darby with Winnipeg. Has to play exactly what Winnipeg needed via trade, and Kyrie Wilson is a solid player, but this is about the sum of the parts. Simone Lawrence with Hamilton, partnering with former Bomber Jovan Santos Knox, has been less productive than the Lawrence-Dean pairing, but more effective than the Lawrence-Tuggle tandem from a few seasons ago. Add in Cameron Kelly, whose length and physicality jumps off the screen, as well as his positional flexibility, and the lean here is toward Hamilton, finally. Going into defensive backs, most of this comes from not knowing what Hamilton's secondary is going to look like Sunday. When boundary corner Desmond Lawrence was injured in the Eastern Final win over Toronto, the TiCats spun the positional wheel and landed on Jamal, rolled from field to boundary corner, Siante Evans bouncing to field corner, Tunde Adeleke down from free safety to field halfback, and rookie Stavros I don't know how to say his last name, but okay, into the game at free safety. While the shift worked and the play of Adeleke specifically has been a difference maker, a rookie, DeAndre Alford, alongside Nick Taylor in the boundary, is one of the top duos in the CFL right now, with Brendan Alexander always ready to come downhill in a hurry on the run game. The advantage goes to Winnipeg, of course. The return game, however, is going to go Hamilton's way. Janarian Grant has been a real positive for Mike O'Shea's squad, which is Winnipeg's head coach. But momentum is real in the return game, and Hamilton has it right now after Happy White's TSN turning point propelled the TiCats back into the Eastern Final, like I did mention before. Factor in the ever-present threat of Brandon Banks getting a one-off missed field goal return, and the advantage here is TiCats, unless Grant takes one to the house Sunday, as he wants to do occasionally, at which point you can disregard all of this. But as for right now, the advantage goes to Hamilton. For a kicking game, who really knows? Because fitting that in a year with so many kicking questions and subsequent transactions, the Grey Cup would feel like a coin flip. Ignore the screaming, Sergio Castillo is the best of the bunch, but hasn't looked rock solid, while both Joel Whitford and Michael Domagala struggled in the Eastern Final. If the game comes down to special teams, specifically kicks, your guess is as good as mine. So that's also a middle. And the last thing is going to be the crowd, which is obviously going to be Hamilton's way. But while they can't have a tackle or catch a touchdown pass, the fans have a real impact on the flow and mood of games. Bombers fans do travel passionately, and thanks to their team's success, have probably been holding their flight tickets patiently for months. The reality is Hamilton is about to show up and be heard in a way that's probably going to be heard from Ancaster to Stony Creek, if you guys know the area, and beyond. But the question is, will it be enough to overcome the Bombers' amazingness or excellence of 2021? And the biggest question of all, fitting for the biggest game in 2 years, a rematch of the last Titanic tilt. So that's going to do it for the head-to-head matchup. Going into, I have one little thing here as well that I wanted to go over quickly. So basically, I'm just going to go into the 5 storylines to follow, which is going to be role reversal for number 1. So when these teams met in the Grey Cup in 2019, the Blue Bombers were the underdogs. The Winnipeg stumbled to a 3rd place finish after starting quarterback Matt Nichols was injured, only readying itself once Claris jumped in as a late season free agent pickup. The Bombers had to win twice on the road to reach the Grey Cup before upsetting the 15-3 TiCats in dominating fashion. 2 years later, everything's flipped around. Winnipeg's all-around dominance has made them a favorite to repeat, with Claris being the easy choice for the West's most outstanding player. The TiCats looked to be on the verge of something special before hitting a wall in the 107th Grey Cup. Now it's Winnipeg who could spur thoughts of a dynasty with a win. So the second thing is Evans gets the ball. So the TiCats were Masoli's team for most of 2021. Ignore my brother, he's just screaming because he wants to, but his struggles early in the East Final led him to being benched in favor of Evans, who'd only attempted a pass in just 2 games since September. That's crazy. However, Evans ended up completing 16 of 16 pass attempts to lead Hamilton's comeback win over the Argos and secured them the Grey Cup spot. Evans is no stranger to the stage. He led Hamilton to the 107th Grey Cup 2 years ago after Masoli's season-ending knee injury, and won 2 of his 3 starts earlier this year while filling in under center. It's clear head coach Orlando Steinauer has tremendous faith in this man. The choice makes a lot of sense, both because Evans is the hot hand right now, and the Blue Bombers had no trouble keeping Masoli in check when the teams last met. That is true. Evans didn't take a snap in short yardage spots during the season opener in Winnipeg, so Steinauer may be banking on somewhat of a surprise factor against the Bombers' dominant defense. Evans did have an awful performance in the Grey Cup 2 years ago, but he's a different quarterback and a different situation now. The Bombers will still make his life extraordinarily difficult, but there's no reason to expect the 2019 version of Evans to show up. He gives the TiCats the best chance to win on Sunday, and it makes you wonder how good they might have been if he had started all year, which honestly, I'm actually kind of thinking that too. The third factor to look at is, can Harris do it again? The Blue Bombers got a massive boost for the playoffs when Andrew Harris finally returned to action in the West Final. Harris only played in 7 regular season games because of injuries. His status and abilities, he's a 34-year-old running back after all, were huge question marks hanging over the Blue Bombers heading into last Sunday. However, he was still able to do just fine. In his first game in nearly 2 months, he ran roughshod over the Rough Riders for 136 yards and a TD. It was reminiscent of his historic performance in the 107th Grey Cup, something TiCat fans would rather forget. and reminded everyone he's still a game changer. He really is. He honestly is. Now comes a daunting challenge for Harris. Hamilton owned the league's best rush defense this year, holding opponents to under 80 rushing yards per game and 4.2 yards per carry. They've taken it to another level in the playoffs, limiting East MOP nominee William Stanback to 29 yards in the East semifinal, and holding the Argos to a mere 50 yards on the ground last week. Great, yeah, their defense has been great. Along with Winnipeg's offense, it should be really fun to see how they go head to head. The Blue Bombers love to run to victory. Winnipeg was last in pass attempts, and only Montreal rushed more often than Mike O'Shea's team. Harris probably isn't going to repeat what he did 2 years ago, but he's got to have another productive day. In many ways, the Bombers' hopes of a repeat rest on his legs. Number 4 factor is home sweet home. So for the first time since 2013, a home team is playing in the Grey Cup. The TiCats haven't had a home field advantage in the championship since 1972, 49 years ago, when they beat Saskatchewan at Old Iverwin Stadium. TiCat fans get really loud and rowdy defending their home turf, and the players will surely get a huge boost from the atmosphere. But will playing at home yield any other advantages for Hamilton? History tells us it might not matter as much as we think. Host teams have played a Grey Cup game just 12 times in modern CFL history since 1958, and they're 6-6 in those appearances. However, 3 of the 6 home team wins have come in the last decade, so that's on Hamilton's side. The Blue Bombers' only losses this season came on the road, which they are on the road, and they haven't won in Hamilton since 2017. Another bonus. It's been 4 years since they won in Hamilton. However, Winnipeg absolutely has the ability to nullify the 13th man, definitely. Claros, in particular, might not be rattled. He spent 4 years quarterbacking the TiCats, as I mentioned, and surely knows just how crazy Tim Hortons field can get. A quick start for the Bombers would go a long way towards quieting this black hole. Honestly, they have to have a good start, Hamilton, otherwise it may not be good for them. The last thing is defense rules the day. So this isn't the old high-flying CFL of years past. The 3-down game is now won with defense, and no teams are more emblematic of this change. Oh my goodness, be quiet, of this change than our Grey Cup finalists. This isn't to say the Blue Bombers and TiCats are boring offensively. Heck, Winnipeg led the league in scoring, and Hamilton boasts some dynamic receivers, but they're the poster children for today's smash-mouth defense. Winnipeg and Hamilton ranked in the top 3 of most defensive categories, and the clubs were first and second, respectively, in offensive points allowed. Their defensive captains, Adam Bighill and Simone Lawrence, are competing for the Defensive Player of the Year, so defense is probably going to rule in this Grey Cup. It honestly will, to be honest. And while that might be a little odd in the CFL, it's also part of what makes the matchup so intriguing. Honestly, this is going to be a really good matchup. I cannot wait for it. So Lawrence, Jovan Santos Knox, and Jagera Davis are a fearsome trio for the Tabbies, who have the potential to make Claros' life miserable. But the Bombers' offensive line is their biggest test yet, having allowed just 16 sacks during the regular season. Damn. By contrast, the TiCats' offensive line was an issue all year, allowing 40 sacks in the regular season and 5 in the East Final. Terrible. And now they have to figure out how to corral Bighill and Willie Jefferson, who must be licking their chops. Honestly, that's going to be a really big thing. Like sacks and everything, you got to stop them. You got to throw a high efficient pass very quickly, otherwise you may regret it. So honestly, the score.com is predicting Blue Bombers win 24-20. I don't necessarily have a prediction, but I will give you guys some stats just on like the Grey Cup, just on the teams. I will do that next for you guys. Okay, so I do have a few stats to go through. Some of it is like stats like just based on like Grey Cup, like unique to this one. So obviously, as we know, the 2020 season was cancelled, so this will be the first Grey Cup to be played with a 2-year gap between it. This is the first time since 1920, which is crazy. Winnipeg sets a record of 26 Grey Cup games in version number 108. 25 is the Blue Bombers, and they were called the Pegs before, so in 1935. So that's 26 appearances. Toronto actually has the most championships, though, I think with 17, so surprising, because I thought the Argos sucked. So, when a club has played the game on their home field, they have won the last 3 times. BC in 2011, Toronto in 2012, and Saskatchewan in 2013. With that being said, from 1978 to 2008, however, the 6 home teams were 1-5. The one team won in 1994 was BC. Overall, since 1972, home teams are 6-5 in these 11 events. So the other home winners were Hamilton in 1972, in Montreal in 1977. So Hamilton did win at home the last time the Grey Cups played at home at Irwin. They have a chance to win again, so let's hope they do so. Hamilton as host. So Hamilton breaks the longest period without being a host, a 25-year stretch back to 1996, which was Grey Cup 84. Montreal is now the CFL city with the most years back to hosting the game, which is 13 years. The last game was played in 2008. So going back to some returning players. So here's a comparison of the 2019 roster compared to right now. So from the 2019 Grey Cup roster, Hamilton had 45 players. And they have 18 no longer on the team. They have 7 still on the team. For Winnipeg, they have 13 no longer on the team and 1 still on the team, which is crazy. So now 2021. So total for Hamilton that played in that are going to play in 2021 division final, that played in 21 division final and 2019 Grey Cups, 20, 31 for Winnipeg. Players new to the club in 2021 played last week, 20 for Hamilton, 10 for Winnipeg. So a lot of new players. So it's not really going to sting to the new players as they didn't play in 2019. But so in the area of rotating the Grey Cup cities in 1967 to 2021, Hamilton has hosted the fewest games with just 2, 1972 and 1996. Now they're going to play in 2021, so only 3. Why? It's kind of rude. However, they were also the home team in 1944, 1935, 1932, 1929, 1928, 1913, 1910, and 1912. So Winnipeg's fortune when heading east for the Grey Cup makes an interesting history. 3 of the last 4 times they have won the Cup were out west, 2019, 1990, and 1984. Their last win in the East was in 1988 in Ottawa. They lost in 2007 and 2001 of their 25 Grey Cups. 19 have been held in the East, and they're 7-12 record, and then 6 in the West, which is 4-2. First and last, the first ever Western Grey Cup was Winnipeg over Hamilton in 1935. The most recent repeated in 2019. They have met 9 times since 1953, as certain title names, along with 2 more in 1935 and 1943 as service era based clubs. The last 20, as to which division has won the CFL title recently, since 2000, the West has won 13 times, the East 7. Hamilton is part of the East Division. So since 2009, it is much closer, however, with a 6-5 edge for the West. 5 different clubs have won the last 5 Grey Cups. So Hamilton can continue that. If Winnipeg repeats, that's gonna be different. So the Bombers have a chance to match Montreal from 2010 and win 2 cups in a row. The last before that was Toronto in 1996 and 1997. Winnipeg has won consecutive Grey Cups twice before in 1961-62 and 1957-58. Hamilton has this is the second time since the last time they won in 1999 that they're making back-to-back season or back-to-back year Grey Cup appearances. 2013-2014, lost in 2013 to Saskatchewan in Saskatchewan, lost to Calgary in 2014, and a loss against Winnipeg in 2019. I've only seen 2 of those games, the 2014 and 2019 one, so this is the 3rd one, so hopefully the 3rd time's a charm for me. Anyways, the TiCats look to become just the 2nd number 2 team in the East to win the Cup in the last 16 years. Last team was in Toronto in 2012. The Blue Bombers had the best record in 2021 at 11-3 and made it to the Grey Cup. The last team with the best regular season record that also won the Grey Cup was Calgary in 2018, and before that was Edmonton in 2015. Now going on to statistical and historical facts. So apparently you're supposed to avoid scoring first. Over the 4 2021 playoff games so far, no team that scored first went on to win. I know that Hamilton scored second, like Toronto scored first against Hamilton. Hamilton was down against Montreal, and then Saskatchewan was leading against the other team. And I'm pretty sure Calgary had a lead over Saskatchewan, which obviously Saskatchewan won that one. Anyways, in the 2021 regular season, teams that scored first went 37-26, or winning 59% of the time. The Bombers scored 3 times on offense, but needed long drives to do it. They drove 71, 71, and 72 yards for touchdowns. On those 3 drives, they went 10 for 10 on second down conversions. That averaged just 4.5 yards to go. Hamilton scored on drives of 88, 66, and 75 yards, but had to convert on just 5 second down situations, and they did it so 4 of 5. The turnover ratio was a -4 and win. The Bombers turned the ball over on 6 of their first 7 possessions last week, and for the game overall, we're at -4. They bucked long odds to win in spite of that. Since 1962, 61 teams have been -4 or worse, and the record is a combined 2 wins and 59 losses, 0.033%. Only Ottawa on November 14th, 1982 survived a -2 turnover ratio to win, 6 Ottawa turnovers to 1 by Hamilton. Depth downfield. So Hamilton and Winnipeg had very different passing attacks last week. Dane Evans completed all 16 passes, but 14 were under 8 yards downfield, and just 1 was more than 20 plus yards. Depth. Here are the numbers with Winnipeg at 12 yards depth per throw compared to Hamilton at just 4.5 yards on their 22 passes. So it just kind of says like Zach Collaros, 21 total attempts. Attempts completed 17, depth yards 251, 12 yards average, and for Dane Evans 16 for 16, depth yards 80, average 5 yards. For Jeremiah Masoli, 6 total attempts, 4 completed, 20 yards, 3.3 yards average. So, wow. Going on to next one. So if Collaros versus Evans. So should the TiCats start Dane Evans, which they are, it would be the first time since 2009, 2010 for the same QB pair 2 years running, and second time since 2003. So it'll be an interesting one. So Dane Evans went 16 for 16 last week, the most attempts ever in a playoff game with a 100% completion mark. Evans' mark, in fact, sits at 18 in a row as he completed his final 2 attempts in the 2019 East Final. The record for consecutive completions in a playoff game was set by Trevor Harris in 2019 at 22 straight versus Edmonton. Now we're going to talk about fourth quarter. So both division finals were won via fourth quarter comebacks as Hamilton and Winnipeg trailed after 45 minutes. Hamilton also stopped Toronto on all 3 red zone chances, allowing only field goals for 9 points. And Winnipeg permitted Saskatchewan just 1 touchdown and 2 field goal attempts, which was 10 points. So, the TiCats have the longest current span back to their Grey Cup win, at least 20 seasons winning. Grey Cup win at least 20 seasons winning last in 1999. Before Grey Cup number 107, Winnipeg had gone 28 seasons since their previous win in 1990. Here is the list of the longest spans. So Toronto, 1953 to 1982, 30 years. Winnipeg, 1991 to 2018, 28 years. Ottawa, 1977 to 1996, and 2002 to 2005, and 2014, 2015, 26 years total. For Calgary, 1949 to 1970, 22 years. Saskatchewan, 1967 to 1988, 22 years. Saskatchewan again, 1945 to 1965, 21 years. And Hamilton is last in this category. Hamilton TiCats, 2000 to 2019, 20 years. So, we have a chance to win today. So the TiCats at Tim Hortons Field have now won 4 in a row on their home field since October 23rd. Over that span, they have trailed by no more than 3 points at any given time. So at any given time during those 4 games, they were either down by 3 or up or tied. So we gotta keep it that way. Now going into fourth quarter, Winnipeg shutouts. The Blue Bombers won last week with yet another blanking of an opponent in the final 15 minutes. Only 2 teams scored against them in the fourth quarter over the first 12 games of 2021, including playoffs and Grey Cup across 2019 to 2021. Winnipeg is now 21-2 when they lead after the third quarter. So it's really crucial that Hamilton has a lead after the third quarter. So surviving a sack. There were 23 drives where a sack was allowed in the 4 playoff games. Just 1 team scored a touchdown, 4%. A unique Grey Cup QB situation. 2 new number 1s. So not since 1980. In this year of lost number 1 quarterbacks, the Grey Cup remains no exception. Both Winnipeg and Hamilton lost their number 1. That has created a situation not seen since 1980. The 1980 Grey Cup had Edmonton start the year with Tom Wilkinson, number 1, but ended with Warren Moon as number 1. Hamilton started off with Bruce Lemmerman, but he gave way to Dave Merriere later in the year. Now we're going to go to Grey Cup droughts post-World War II. 15 win or 9-0 home teams did they win the Grey Cup. Hamilton brings a team record 15 wins and a perfect 9-0 home season into this Grey Cup. How did the previous teams do? There were 10 prior 15 out of 16 win teams to enter the playoffs. 7 of those made it to the Grey Cup, as Hamilton has done in 2019. 5 of the last 6 15-win teams made it to and won the Grey Cup. Baltimore in 1995, Toronto 1996, 1997, Montreal 2009, Calgary 2014. Only Calgary in 1995 has won 15 games since 1995 and not won the Grey Cup. There were 7 teams before Hamilton to have 9-0 home marks, and just 3 ended up winning. Toronto in 1991, Toronto in 1997, and Montreal 2009. So 3rd place teams in the Grey Cup. So the last. Winnipeg comes in as a 3rd place Grey Cup participant. They are the first team to come from 3rd place, winning consecutive road games to reach the Grey Cup since Edmonton in 2005. 3rd place clubs, 5-4 since 1953. Edmonton 2005 with a win, BC 2000 with a win, 1997 Saskatchewan with a loss, BC 1994 with a win, Saskatchewan 1989 with a win, BC 1988 with a loss, Saskatchewan 1972 with a loss, Montreal 1970 with a win, Winnipeg 1953 loss. There have just been 9 prior teams, and they defied the odds to be 5-4 in the Grey Cup. I'm not gonna lie, I do not know what that meant, but I told you guys. Anyways, Grey Cup number 107. So going more in depth of last Grey Cup. So Chris Strevler took 23 snaps in the West semifinal, but just 7 snaps last week with 1 pass attempt. Dane Evans took 51 offensive snaps of Hamilton's 53 total last week in his first ever postseason start. 20-plus yard depth passing was key. Claris was 4 of 8, 165 yards, and a TD. Evans was 6 of 11, 201 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Evans' 4th quarter passing last week was 6 for 7, 86% for 88 yards. Division finals, red zone passing, Zach Claris was 1 for 1 for 5 yards, no touchdowns. Dane Evans was 1 for 4 for 2 yards, no TDs. Zach Claris became the first QB in CFL history to start a division final, having been on each team's roster in that season. That's crazy. Claris pushed his playoff record to 3-1 as a starter and brings an 0-1 Grey Cup record. 2014 Hamilton, 25 of 33, 342 yards. I think this was like a preview of the game in 2019, so I'm just not going to say anything about that. Other Grey Cup notes. Winnipeg has won the last 5 games in postseason versus Hamilton, the last TiCats win being the 1989 West Final. The Bombers hold a 5 wins to 3 Edge and Grey Cup meetings back to 1953, and Winnipeg and Hamilton also played in 1935 and 1943. Hamilton explosive plays on offense is a major advantage for them. In the last 8 games, Hamilton had 24, opponents had 9. Winnipeg explosive plays on offense has been as well lately. Playoffs 7, opponents 4. Winnipeg's 100-yard touchdown drive last week was the longest in the CFL playoffs since 2015. Winnipeg allowed Saskatchewan 256 net yards in the second half last week, but just 3 field goals and a goal line stand. Previous Grey Cup appearance of the 48 projected starters, Winnipeg has 5 and Hamilton has 12. Winnipeg has lost their last 5 Grey Cup appearances. The record is 7 losses in a row by Regina, Saskatchewan from 1923 to 1951. Hamilton has lost their last 2 Grey Cup appearances, those coming in 2013 and 2014. So this seems to be before the 2019 Grey Cup, which I don't know why it's telling me this. I don't care about the other Grey Cup now. But I'm just going to leave it there because I don't know what was going on there. So this is a super long video. I'm sorry for the very long video, but I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Honestly, I don't have a good prediction for you guys, as honestly, I do not know. I went to the stadium just today. It's Friday today, and the game is basically in about 46 hours from now, and it's crazy because I was actually getting really close, and I'm actually really excited but really nervous at the same time, because it is going to be a great game, but I'm just so nervous because like I really want to see them win for once. It's been 21 years, and they haven't won at home since like 1970s. Bro, it's been like 49 years since they've won at home, and now they actually have a chance to win this year. The Grey Cup is going to be in Hamilton in 2023, but then you got to do everything again. You got to go through the stress of having a good record, making it to the playoffs, winning the first 2 or winning the first 1 and 2 potentially, and then going to the Grey Cup. Since we're already here, let's take advantage and let's do it already. Anyways, Hamilton is currently underdogs. I'm looking online, and we are underdogs. Before I checked, the betting odds was 51 to 49. Now it's 52 to 48 for Winnipeg. The betting action, it's close. It's going to be a really good defensive offensive contest. I do not expect a high scoring game, maybe Bombers 20, TiCats 17. I honestly do see Winnipeg winning again. But Hamilton could definitely win. They're at home. They definitely have the ability to win. But me being negative and stuff, it just doesn't really help. And me being nervous and everything, and I'm just always kind of thinking negatively. It doesn't help. But TiCats can definitely win. I'm not counting them out of it at all. They just have to have a good start. They have to continue playing for 60 whole minutes, and contain Andrew Harris and contain Zach Collaros and get after him as soon as you can. Do not allow more than like 4 seconds for him to try to throw. Otherwise, he'll find an open receiver, and you're fucked. But either way, it should be a great game of football. Should be fantastic, regardless of the outcome. But of course, it'll be way better if TiCats win, because I'm probably gonna cry if they lose. Second year in a row that this is the first time that I'm gonna see the TiCats make a Grey Cup game back-to-back seasons or back-to-back years, 2019, 2021, and it's weird saying back-to-back years. But anyways, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you guys did, please give it a like, comment down below what you guys thought. Who do you think is going to win? What do you think the score will be, guys? And be sure to subscribe and turn on post notifications as well. With all that being said, I'll see you guys there. Thanks for watching. Deuces. And go Hamilton, go.